So today I'd like to talk about graphing numerical data using Boxplots. So go ahead and turn into your notes section on graphing numerical data with Boxplots. Let's begin by first discussing the advantages of Boxplots. Now, there are several advantages of using Boxplots when graphing numerical data. The first is that Boxplots are very easy to construct. Secondly, we have a very convenient way to handle outliers using Boxplots, and actually using modified Boxplots, which will describe the difference between just the construction of a regular Boxplot and a modified Boxplot. Third, the construction is not subjective. Remember the histograms? Everyone's histogram might look slightly different because the person basically has the choice to determine the bin length or the widths of the intervals, and so there's a little bit of subjectivity to it. But with the construction of Boxplots, we basically follow pretty much of a simple recipe in its construction, and everyone's Boxplot will look exactly the same. Fourth, Boxplots are able to handle medium to large sized data sets. When we talked earlier about graphing numerical data, we began with dot plots and then we went to stem and leaf plots, and those were pretty much used for small to medium sized data sets. Histograms, we found, were very good for large data sets, and once again Boxplots are good also for large data sets as well as medium sized data sets. And fifth, Boxplots are extremely useful for comparative displays. We've talked about comparison displays using histograms and dot plots, and we've done back-to-back stem and leaf plots. Boxplots as well are very useful in comparing data between different sets of data. Once again, several advantages in constructing Boxplots. Now let's talk about the disadvantages of Boxplots. Boxplots do not retain the individual values of the data set. And remember, this was the case also of the histograms as well. When we construct a Boxplot, we're basically grouping our data together, so we're not able to look at it and really recall the individual data in the data set itself. The graphical display of a Boxplot is obtained by grouping our information with what we call a 5-number summary statistics. Therefore, the individual data cannot be extracted from a Boxplot. The second disadvantage is we should not use Boxplots for small sets of data. Sometimes our data, our sample sizes are extremely small, and it's not a very good thing to use a Boxplot when our data sets are that small. If our data is small, then we would probably want to resort either to using a dot plot or perhaps a stem and leaf plot. Now, how do we define small? If the size of our data set is less than 10, and that's kind of a general rule of thumb for describing small data sets, then we should not use a Boxplot. Now let's talk about the steps in constructing a Boxplot. The first step we need to do is we need to take our data and first find the 5-number summary statistics for the data. Now, the 5-number summary statistics are basically the minimum value, the Q1 value, which is the first quartile, and the first quartile is the 25th percentile, the median value, which is the middle, and the median actually is the second quartile or the 50th percentile. Then we need to find Q3, the 75th percentile or third quartile, and finally the maximum value. Now, once we've found this 5-number summary statistics for our data, then this can now be accomplished by entering the 5-number summary statistics, that is, can be accomplished by entering our data in a list on a calculator. And once we've entered our data from our data set into, let's say, list 1, we can perform what we call a one-variable summary statistics by punching in the following keystrokes. We go to our stat button, and then we go to the calc option, and then we actually conduct the one-variable statistic summary. Once we have our 5-number summary statistics, we're now going to label an appropriate horizontal or vertical scale and draw a box from Q1 to Q3. Once you've chosen the orientation that you want to use, then go ahead and label an appropriate scale so that you can draw a box from the first quartile number to the third quartile. After we've drawn the box, we want to locate the value of the median, and we're going to place that inside the box and draw a vertical line to represent